And welcome to the July 16th, 2019 school board meeting for the Dover Area School District. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Benko, could we have the roll call, please?
Mrs. Breton, here. Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mr. Deschaux? Mr. DeLauder?
Here.
Mr. Eifert?
Here.
Mr. Emig?
Here.
Mrs. Herman? Here. Mrs. Maley? Mr. Rawhauser?
Here.
7 members are present.
Thank you. I'm going to skip right down to category number 4, our public comment period. This is for items on or off of the agenda, a 3-minute period. If you have anything you'd like to comment on, please come to the microphones and state your name and address for the record. Okay, Board President's communication. We did have an executive session prior to tonight's meeting to discuss personnel matters and some items that were on tonight's agenda. I did also want to note that there is one item that has been moved off of the consent agenda. That is the AIA agreement with Crabtree has been moved to the Capital Projects Steering Committee for a separate vote outside of consent. So with that, we'll move into the approval of the minutes. So at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the June 18th, 2019 board meeting.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, Mrs. Benko? The motion carries. Next, we'll move on to our consent agenda. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve all items listed under the consent agenda.
So moved.
If it's okay, I would like to...
have a second?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Second.
Okay. Go ahead, Mrs. Kroom.
Okay. If it was okay, what I'd like to do is we have a number of contracts on here that we do yearly, so I'd just like to quickly go down them and some of the other items on the consent agenda. First, 702 is a revised school calendar. This includes the Act 80 day that I want to say was May 30th, the day that we lost our power at the high school, that the students didn't have school and the teachers did. So we were able to make that an Act 80 day because it was professional development. There are 2 contracts, 703 and 730, that are for language arts and math coaching for the elementary school. And we definitely think that this is something that we are very beneficial to the elementary school. Our student and athletic handbooks are on here tonight for your approval. Of course, we have a couple field trips. I'd like to jump down to 714, which is our yearly communicable disease regulations and standing orders from our school physician for our nurses. I also, the next one, 715, is our school physician agreement with UPMC. This is for our TB shots for our employees. There are a couple more additional conferences. Obsolete technology contract with ASL Services is for services for some of our translation services for some of our deaf staff members. Our 721, the athletic game workers, we have not raised our fees since 2005. So we, to stay in alignment with the other districts, we are raising them a little bit. Memorandum of Understanding with Head Start we do yearly. 723 is our letter of agreement with Kegel, Kellen, Almy, and Lord for legal services. This is Mr. Pratt's new law firm, so we have that agreement up tonight. 724 is a natural gas agreement with Direct Energy via the LIU joint purchasing. This allows us to work with the LIU and purchase jointly with other districts gas out in 2021 to 2023. Jen, is there anything else you wanted to mention about that?
I don't think so. It just allows us to be able to get prices at the, whenever they're down. We will purchase maybe 50% of our our gas, now, maybe another 25% next year when we see prices decreasing, so we can capitalize on some of the price fluctuations that happen within the energy arena.
7.25 is an agreement with Behavioral Works agreement. This is our behavior screener that we use with 7th and 9th graders, all 7th and 9th graders, to help us look for early signs of behavior issues that we want to take a look at, and we also use that for students who do struggle. 726 is special education services. This is a special ed placement for students who need additional support. Our yearly access participation agreement, this allows us to bill for medical costs, especially in special ed. 228, this is memorandum of understanding for Title III. The district, because we have ESL students, is eligible for Title III funding from the federal government. However, it's not enough that you get it by yourself. So you have to go into a consortium with the intermediate unit, and you have to sign for that agreement. So that's what this is. The IU then puts a program together, and we can participate in it. So that is a yearly agreement as well. The LIEP service agreement, in the past and into the future, we use additional services with our ESL students. This is the agreement to allow us to do so, and we are talking about contracting a half-time teacher with them next year. 730, that was that ELA coaching I talked about earlier. And 731 is an agreement with True North. This is our required SAP liaison that each of the buildings must have, and we do that through True North. So again, it is that time of year we have a lot of contracts, our yearly contracts. Are there any questions about any of those contracts?
Till it all shakes out, is there anything here that was a surprise or an unexpected additional cost when you were developing the budget? Or is all these things sort of in the planning stages and we're expected?
Yeah, they're all budgeted for.
Kind of a formality.
Absolutely.
To get everything in order.
Yeah, and a number of the contracts with the students are if we use it. So for the services, the translation services, they're if we use it. So we sign a contract with them, they give us the pricing if we need an hour, a half an hour, that's if we use it. The special ed placement if we use it. So these allow us, when the need arises, to immediately use their services by you agreeing to the contract.
I would like to mention on the UPMC agreement for employee physicals that our employee physical cost has gone up by approximately $25 at this point. UPMC, or Partners in Family Health, who we use, was bought out by UPMC. UPMC's rate is actually $250. Partners in Family Health and UPMC agreed to keep the cost down to $175 for this year. I would imagine those costs would continue to rise up to the $250 level. Therefore, we will look for some other providers, but please know that the employee physicals, and these are for new hires anyhow, you could see costs rise on that going forward.
Any other questions or discussion on these items? Hearing none, Mrs. Benko? The motion carries. And now that it's been made official, I'd like to welcome our new social worker. Nicole Ossie is with us tonight. So if you'd like to stand up and be recognized by everybody, welcome.
So we're very excited that Nicole's joining our team. She has experience from York City School District. So we know she's going to bring us some very valuable experience to our team. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, we do not have anything under Human and Fiscal Resources, so we will move on to our Capital Project Steering Committee. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the enclosed amendment to the AIA agreement with Crabtree, Werbaugh, and Associates to include the middle school renovations and additions.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Questions or discussion on this? Mrs. Benko, the original fee was 7%, I believe, in this, and you've negotiated that down a little bit for us, so thank you. Okay, with nothing else, we'll move on to the vote. Mrs. Benko? motion carries. Mr. Nelson, could you just give us a quick update on the status of the building project and where things stand right now? Hate to put you on the spot.
We've had a good week or two. Don't say that too loud. Right now, it looks like talcum powder out there, so it's really dry. I mean, really dry. We're progressing. We have paint on the walls in the second floor corridor. CTE areas of the CTE hallway as well as CTE classrooms have the walls painted, including the accent wall. The side swing, all the walls are painted in there. We installed the steel girders on the auditorium yesterday. Well, actually, for the last 3 or 4 days. They're 120 feet long and they're 6 feet high. They're enormous. You just can't imagine how big they are. When they're sitting on the floor or on the ground, you look at them, it's like they're not that big, yet you walk up next to them, they're the same height as I am. So we put those up yesterday. So the auditorium is progressing. They should get the steel down on the roof for that tomorrow. The next day, we started putting some steel work above the front half of the building, so to speak, in the second floor. So poured some more concrete today, working on the natatorium and the kitchen area right now. We are on schedule.
Great. Thank you.
Where are we at with the middle school project as far as the planning and the
Middle
process?
school, in the last 2 weeks, I've spent maybe 7, 8 days there with Crabtree, walking through, different architects and engineers walking through, doing surveys on the building. Yesterday, we spent all day from about 8 in the morning until about 2:30 in the afternoon just looking at doors. I know that's hard to believe, but there's a lot of doors there. So we wanted to make sure that the doors were, what condition they were in, what kind of locks they had on them, because if we're going to change the locks, we need to know what's there now so we know where to go. And what did we want to put on that door as far as, do we want to put card access, do we want to put the shelter lock system and that kind of thing. And then we're rekeying everything, so we have to know what door, how many doors we have and what they are. So we spent all day doing that. Yesterday, Thursday of this week, we'll be doing an ADA, and I can't think of what the other word is, but basically an access type walkthrough for Americans with Disabilities Act to make sure we're handicapped accessible, we're meeting all the requirements for things like bathrooms, stalls, stairways, where looks like we're going to have to replace the railing in almost every stairway because it doesn't meet the current code for distance between the upright, I call them wickets, I don't know what the right term is for them. Basically, it has to be less than 5 inches so the kid can't stick their head in there. So looks like we're gonna have to replace all of them. Looking at some elevation changes, how we're gonna tie the new building in with the new section in with the old building. So we're gonna get rid of a lot of those ups and downs, ramps. You know how you go down to get in the office and then you go down again once you get down the steps, and then once you're in the office, you have to come back up. We're gonna try to eliminate that and do that all in one time. We're gonna go down and that's it. So.
What's the timetable on the bid process then?
We are looking right now at probably we really want to be out to bid in October. That's our time frame. We want to be out to bid, so we have bids back late November, so we can do something before the holidays hit. We're trying to beat spring rush, so to speak, so we want to get our bids out and get them back in before everybody gets busy with next year's work. So, we want to get it out there quick. We are meeting currently twice a month with all the engineers and architects combined. We have a big meeting over at Crabtree offices twice a month. We meet over there and for half a day, and we just, brainstorm. This is what we're doing. This is what we need to do, what we have to do, that type of thing. So,
Thanks.
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Okay, thank you, Dave. York Adams Academy, Mr. Emig.
Nothing to report.
All right, Mr. DeLauder, York County School of Technology.
Same thing, nothing to report.
LIU, Mrs. Kroom.
Nothing to report.
Legislative and York Learning Center, Mr. Rawhauser.
Okay, we don't have any business this month for LIU. The only thing on legislative is that the governor decided that he didn't want the independents to vote in the next election, so he vetoed the bill that was up for his signature, which would also provided money for new voting machines, and now they're going to do a bond issue.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Rawhauser? Okay, Mrs. Brinton, PSBA.
Some important pieces of legislation that were passed with the budget that relate to school. There was the school code, increased funding for public education, and also the extension of the Plan Con moratorium. There was a bill that included school safety and security amendments that sets new provisions for trauma-informed education and training, and other various changes to Act 44 of last year, which was the Safety and Security Act. The Farm to School program was passed, which establishes a Healthy Farms, Healthy Schools program and provides grants for improving childhood nutrition, education, increases exposure to agriculture for children in grades pre-K through 5. One that we've been following too is the flexible instruction days. That bill was passed, so that allows schools to use those days in instances of cancellation to fulfill the requirements for instructional days per calendar year or first school year. Another interesting one that we were following that was part of the budget was the compulsory for school-age children was increased. Currently begins at 8, and at 17 children or students can sign themselves out. That was increased or decreased to 6 for compulsory to start, and increased to 18 for ability to sign out. Also, the EITC, Legislation Educational Improvement Tax Credit. There was a bill that was originally vetoed that would have expanded the program by $100 million. The governor vetoed that bill, and it was renegotiated through budget negotiations for a $25 million expansion. So that is out there as well.
Thank you, Mrs. Brinton. Any questions for Mrs. Brinton? Okay, Industrial Development Committee, Mrs. Herman.
No report.
Superintendent's report. I'm assuming you have a report.
I do. Well, Mrs. Britton took half of it, but that's good. No, that's good. No, that's good. First, you have in front of you, this is not fully done because we have a couple pictures to still put in of the building project, but this is the fall version of the Eagle. It is almost ready to go. It is going to be sent out to be printed and mailed. This year, it goes to all residences in the Dover area. We are going to get some additional ones to put in the YMCA and the Senior Center and some other places around Dover. I email a copy out to the teachers, and we're going to give the support staff a paper copy. So we want to get the word out. So we were pretty pleased with this. A lot of beginning of school stuff, a lot of compliance things, a lot of news. This really focused a lot on how to communicate with the district. So there's a lot of information in there. So you get the first look at it. Also, just to add to Mrs. Britton's list of some things that changed with the budget that is of interest to us. In the budget, they're providing some fee assistance for AP exams for students in financial need. So that I think is great for us. She mentioned the trauma-informed education training. What she failed to mention is that includes school boards. So Kirsten will be working together, and Kirsten needs to do an hour training on trauma-informed education with you. So we will be doing that as we move into the future. And it does give us a chance to share with you and give you updates on what we're doing in our buildings with trauma-informed education. And I thought this was very interesting. A possible fall issue for the legislature is teacher evaluation. So I guess we're going to look at that again. So we will keep you posted on that. All right, we're coming to the start of the year. By the time we meet next month, we will be in service time, in service week, believe it or not. Just, I want to remind you that new teacher induction begins Wednesday, August 7th. In service week is Monday, August 12th through Friday, August 16th. On Thursday, August 15th will be opening day. I'm going to send you an email. You are all invited to attend. We have refreshments at 7:30. At 8 o'clock, we're welcomed by the president of our school board and myself. And our focus on opening day this year is unity and diversity. We have a speaker. Quay Hanna is going to speak to the entire staff. And we have LIBE and Sarah Robbins bring in the LIBE kiddos to do some songs that they did in their spring concert they were just phenomenal, that really are for unity. And we are going to have the Intermediate School of Edom Club come and perform for the teachers as well. So very excited about that. So that's just going to be a really nice morning. It wraps up about 11:30. So I will, you'll actually see that with the Tuesday mailing out to the staff. So for the opening day and the agenda. So you are all welcome. Check if you wish to attend any open houses or back to school nights. You, of course, are welcome. Please check the website. And just a reminder again that our goal is to have this delivered out to homes by mid-April or mid-August, so it's when school starts. And then just finally for the fall, thoughts about principal hiring. We are looking at putting the opening for the high school principal out in mid-September. And we are going to do a full search, which involves many layers and will involve lots of people, including you. So we will bring more details back to you in September for that. We are putting together an entire process for how we determine teachers move to the middle school. And so I think in August, I'm going to have Mrs. Landis stand up and share her plan. She has a very extensive plan for conversation with every single 6th, 7th, and 8th grade teacher to get a feel of, do they want to stay in the same position? Do they want a different position? The goal is to make all of the teams the best teams with the best people on them. And she is going to spend significant time in all the elementaries with 6th grade teams this year, making them feel welcome and comfortable as well. So I really am very proud of Mrs. Landis and the plan she's put together for the middle school. I think the teachers are very happy. She met with the 6th grade team, all the teams at the end of the school year, to say, don't you worry, we have a whole plan and it'll be okay. So very pleased. And I have a tentative calendar for the 2021 school year. I thought that was really important because of the building project. So we had an idea when school started and so I will be sharing, I'd like to share that with the staff to get their immediate take on it, see what they think. So you will be seeing that pretty early. We want to get that approved. And just so people know, they have a long summer next year. We don't start school till after Labor Day. But yep, it's a nice calendar. I think it's going to do what we need it to do. All right, that's it.
Questions for Mrs. Kroon? Okay, thank you. Any other comments or observations from our board members tonight?
Yeah, on the comprehensive plan meeting I was at the other day, the question is, should we change the way Dover is, or let it like it is, because some people like it is. ProPallet is expanding their operation, and people are complaining about the trucks. If you bring more industry in, you get more trucks, you get more traffic. So it's be interesting to what we come up with till we get this study done. And if anybody has any suggestions, why, we're open. And group is starting to find out they were disappointed where they seen our name in the paper the other week. But they're starting to find out with the group that we have to work with, is the low income and everything and housing, that is attributing to some of the problems as to where our name was in the newspaper. That's all I have.
Anybody else? Okay. That brings us to our last public comment period. It is a 2-minute period for items on or off of the agenda. All right. Future meeting announcements. Our next regular board meeting will be August 13th, 2019. And our board committees and planning meetings will resume August 15th, a Thursday, 2019. So if there's no further business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, yes?
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you.